Here's carbohydrates in the United States. So you can see that that's 1997. Obesity is 29%. Look where obesity is in 2013, 38%. But the carbohydrates are on the decline. So again, we've got a little decline in calories, we've got declining sugar, recent, and we've got declining carbohydrates, recent. Again, while obesity and diabetes, as you'll see next, go through the roof. So here's diabetes versus sugar, because you've already seen vegetable oils versus this, and we have limited time. So here's the diabetes, 0.37% in 1935. Sugar is already 22.5% of the caloric consumption. All right, let's jump to 2016. Diabetes, 13%. What's sugar? 24%. The sugar's barely changed. Now, if you look at the actual numbers, sugar's up 86 calories from 440 to 526 between these two time frames. But we're consuming more food in 2016, so that as a percentage, it's just up a little bit. It's up 1.5%. But diabetes goes up 35-fold. It's an increase of 3,400% in prevalence, diabetic prevalence, right? Here's the problem, which we talked about before. Look at the omega-6 climbing from 1.1% all the way to 11.8% by 2008. This is the problem. But we had a data analyst run a regression analysis, and because obviously sugar and vegetable oils are both climbing at the same time as obesity and diabetes, right? So the data analyst that looked at this wrote this: we assess whether this positive effect of sugar remains significant once vegetable oil consumption is adjusted for. And he wrote, in such a two-factor linear regression model, there is no significant effect of sugar consumption on the prevalence of obesity and diabetes at all. No effect once you control for the vegetable oils. He said, at the same time, vegetable oil consumption's positive effect is significant at any imaginable significance level commonly used in scientific literature, p less than 0.0001. This was done by an outside scientist, not associated with my group, our group, Eugene Antipov, PhD from Dubai. All right, let's look at Australia. This will be the last one. So first, I want to mention, here's the obesity in Australia, 9% in 1980, climbs to 31.3% in 2018. But look at the sugar, nearly a steady decline since 1961, at least for a few decades, right? And then it sort of levels off. But look at the vegetable oils, 78 calories per day in 1961, 575 calories per day in 2018. Now let's look at diabetes, and there's a short window of evidence here, but the diabetes is not as high as I would expect. 3.3% nevertheless in 2001, and 4.9% in 2018. Okay? Is it the carbohydrates though? Well, the carbohydrates, as you can see, are also on the decline while the obesity goes through the roof. So the carbohydrates are down 200 or 300 calories per day during this, this time frame since the 1960s until, or at least around the early 2000s. You can see carbohydrates have gone down. So we ran a regression analysis for Australia too. And this is the data scientist's words. We assess whether this positive effect of sugar remains significant once vegetable oil consumption is adjusted for. In such a two-factor linear regression model, there is no significant effect of sugar consumption on the prevalence of obesity and diabetes at all. Sounds very similar to the US, right? At the same time, vegetable oil consumption's positive effect is significant at any commonly used significance level, p less than 0.001 on this one. Okay, so in conclusion, I would submit to you that the industrial seed oils are the primary drivers, not the only drivers, but the primary drivers of obesity, diabetes, and most all of our chronic disease. I would submit that non-processed carbohydrates, especially when they're organic and they're unmodified, do not play a role in obesity, diabetes, and most chronic disease. Refined sugars and flours, these are definitely, at the very least, nutrient-deficient foods. Sure, there's a lot more to be said about that, but I think these should be greatly minimized or eliminated. But my suggestion is, of course, an ancestral diet, which includes all of these kinds of foods potentially.